The supplement routine that all creatives need to know. Hey creators, Aimon here, and this is where I help you master your creative mindset. So if you haven't heard of nootropics or smart drugs, they are essentially vitamins that haven't really been regulated yet. And some of these have been regulated now, but I've been into nootropics for quite some time. I've tried my fair share of them. Just treat myself as a bit of a rat in a lab, self-experimentation, because why not? And so as a creative, I've found quite a few that work really, really well. So I'm going to save you all the time and hassle of going on Reddit and trying to decipher what they all mean, what they all do. And I'm going to give you the top 4 that have worked for me and the cheeky little bonus one at the end. So top 5. All right, first one, let's get into it. We've got ashwagandha here. Okay. If you've heard of ashwagandha, it's a very common one these days. It's not going to focus, and I don't even care, okay? You don't get it. But ashwagandha is really good because it calms you down, all right? It de-stresses you, and that can be really good, but I've also found a lot of negatives to ashwagandha, which is why I generally take it once or twice a week, depending on how stressed I am or how much I just want to relax. It's going to make you really relaxed. It's going to make you, better in social conversations, and it's going to make you a little bit numb, which is the downside, because if you take it a lot, you will actually lose your creativity. So as a creative person, you're probably more likely to be able to get stressed, and you have potentially more ups and downs than your average person, which is why ashwagandha has definitely helped me. And I continue to take it, as I said, once or twice a week, depending on where I'm at. So again, the thing about stress is there's eustress and there's bad stress. And eustress is good stress for you. So you go to the gym, you work out really hard, that's good stress for you, right? And there's obviously bad stresses like alcohol, doing all sorts of stuff like that. And that is going to have a negative effect on your body. And so eustress and also a lot of other stress, like for example, if you are in a social scenario and you're being challenged, that can be perceived as very stressful, right? And that can be a really good thing because you're going to grow through that social scenario. You're going to grow through that stress. And so what might feel like bad stress in the moment, it's actually good stress in the long term. And that's the downside to ashwagandha, is that it kind of takes your stress away from you. And that's why, people say you can take it long term and the effects build up. I prefer to take it very minimally and very just depending on when I need to take it. If I'm going out and I need to socialize with other creatives or something like that, ashwagandha is fantastic, right? So look, I don't recommend any of these. You can do your own research and you can make your own decisions about your health, okay? But these are just things that I've tried, and these are things that have worked for me in a creative sense. I think ashwagandha has worked for me in a creative way because it can chill me out on a Friday and I can really get into my creative session without thinking about all the stresses of life. I'm just kind of like in the moment creating, and that's a really fantastic thing. Aside from that, when you're regulating your stress with ashwagandha, then when you are actually getting into creating, you just don't have as much stuff on your mind. But again, definitely one to be used with caution, because I went through a period where I used it for quite some time, and then I was like, why am I not enjoying my existence? And it's like, oh, right, because I'm just on ashwagandha all the time and not experiencing any stress. So definitely something to be warned about. Next one, NAC, N-acetylcysteine. This, I would say, is the ultimate nootropic. Now, NAC increases glutathione, okay? It's free radical protection. So it's really good for the reuptake of dopamine and serotonin. It protects dopamine and serotonin, and it's really good for immune support. It's one of those ones that, people have said is good for, that whole pandemic. It takes away that disease and cures a lot of your, all of the phlegm within your chest. And it can also, cure cancer because of the free radicals, right? But what it actually does to you is it decreases your intrusive thoughts. And that, especially if you're an artist, is immensely valuable. Now, the other positives to this is that, you're going to have a banger sleep. Again, this is just all, I'm not telling you the exact scientific, method of all of these. I'm just telling you my experience with them, okay? So you can do with that whatever you will. Definitely, as I said, do all of your own research. But NAC, I'm always going to have an amazing sleep on it if I have it the night before. If I have it the day of, you definitely take it either 2 hours after food or 30 minutes before food. I generally just am way more present during my day. There's not a million thoughts happening in my mind. I'm just there, right? And I think that's because of its mechanism of action. Again, Google exactly how it works scientifically. Now, I've looked into it before, but I'm not about to try and spout it off to you because I'm not a scientist, all right? But NAC is definitely one of the underdogs of the supplement world, especially if you're creative, especially if you're someone that struggles with intrusive thoughts. Definitely one that's been a huge savior in my experience. So definitely look into that one. All right. Third one on the list. Again, I'm not going to focus it for you, okay? Is N-acetyl L-tyrosine. In terms of where I get all these, by the way, I generally just look for the top-rated sellers with the best value and shipping that suits me on eBay and or Amazon. So I've tried a bunch of different people that have a bunch of different products. Generally, the experience is around the same. But again, don't take my word for it. Do all of your research into the supplements you're going to buy, if you're even going to buy any of these. But as a creative, N-acetyl L-tyrosine is the precursor to dopamine, I'm pretty sure. And so what that means is it helps with the uptake of dopamine. And again, if you're a creative, there might be some element of ADD or ADHD within there. And this is definitely one to be cautious of, again, because you don't want something going into your brain all the time trying to give you dopamine, because you want your brain creating dopamine naturally, through exercise, eating well, sleeping well, all that jazz, right? But this is also something that is just going to give you that extra dopamine boost. So when you are creating, or when you are just going about life, you're just going to have that extra bit of dopamine there. And that's going to help you be more motivated, get things done at a quicker, more enthusiastic pace. You're going to be looking for other tasks to do. So you can really get into a flow state when it comes to creating. That's what I've found. And that's some magic stuff for sure. So N-acetyl L-tyrosine, or NOLT. There's another variation of it, which is just N-acetyl tyrosine. I think there's no L in there. And that's just, I guess it's NAT. But the L-tyrosine one has been the one that's worked for me. I have actually tried the just tyrosine, or it's L-tyrosine, and it doesn't seem to hit as well. The other thing is a lot of these supplements, they can vary, because there's obviously so much going on in your chemistry that when you're taking this, it's also taking into account everything else that's going on in your body. So, if you've been, abusing alcohol and not sleeping and having, bad food, and then you have this, it's not obviously going to have as good as an effect if you haven't got all of your habits in order, which is something else when it comes to, supplementation, is that when all of your habits are in order and then you stack this on top of that, that's where the magic really happens. If you're trying to take it to, even yourself out after not having your habits in order, it's a bit of a disaster, okay? / you're just not going to get the full effects of it, So N-acetyl L-tyrosine, again, for NAC and NOLT, I use them once or twice a week, leaning more towards once per week. And this is the other thing when it comes to supplementing, self-experimentation. And this is the other thing when it comes to supplementing, self-experimentation, and nootropics, is I find the less the better. I used to be on the side of try everything and do this one day and that one day so you can optimize everything. And that's just how my brain works. It's all optimize and make things better. But actually optimizing things in a natural way by having all your habits correct sounds boring as hell, I know, but that's the truth. So when you actually do supplement with these, not on an extremely consistent basis, that's when they have the most effects. All right, the fourth one, alpha GPC. Now, no doubt you've heard Daddy Huberman talking about alpha GPC. This is one that I would recommend as well. It's the most natural thing that I've found to have a really, really efficient and effective day. For example, I had alpha GPC this morning, had one of the nastiest workouts I've had in a couple of weeks. Again, I take this once or twice a week at around 300 milligrams. Again, look at all of the dosages and figure out what suits you on the internet if you're going to self-experiment. And I've had an extremely productive morning. I've crushed a lot of stuff out for my media business. I filmed 3 of these episodes now, and I'm about to go to 2 or 3 shoots this afternoon. So it's been a very productive day and I've experienced no resistance at all. Alpha GPC, again, I'm not going to pretend to know the mechanism of action. This is just my unique experience as a creative when it comes to using this. Now, I would definitely say that Alpha GPC can take away some of the flow of your creativity because you're more in the zone of just crushing things out. But still, it's an extremely effective tool to use in your arsenal of creativity if you want to get some stuff done, or maybe if you have more things to do that aren't as creative revolving around your creative projects, such as admin or organizing things. That kind of stuff is really effective when it comes to Alpha GPC. So we've gone over ashwagandha, we've gone over N-acetyl L-tyrosine, we've gone over NAC, we've gone over Alpha GPC, and the fifth bonus supplement that you need to know as a creative is meditation. And again, this is what I have been alluding to the entire time, is that supplements are cool, but when you have all of your habits in order and you're meditating on top of that, you're going to be the most present you can be. Then when you add a sprinkle of supplementation on top, that's where the magic secret sauce really is. Because when you're already in a present state, when you're already focused and you're having, a really productive day by yourself, and then you add these on top, that's where it all gets really good. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of Creative Philosophy. I'd love to know if you have any other supplements that I've missed out in this particular list. As I said, I've tried many more of these. So if you want to know any more about other supplements that I've tried, feel free to let me know, because I can do another episode on this for you. But this was just a quick one to round out my 4 favorites at the moment that I'm kind of cycling once or so a week. Again, let me know if there's any supplements you've tried on your creative journey and they've been effective. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next episode.